Welcome to Spotlight on the Arts. I'm your host, Bill Hirschman. I'm editor and chief critic of Florida Theater on Stage. And I'm joined here tonight by an unusually esteemed group of interviewers. We'll start with Dan Clancy, playwright Dan Clancy, who is sitting in for the inimitable Michael McKeever. Also sitting in tonight is Michelle Solomon, who is the editor of Miami Art Zine and critic also for Florida Theater on Stage, and sitting in for the inimitable Karen Stevens. And sitting in for no one because she's completely irreplaceable is our producer, founder, actress, mentor, Iris Acker. It's not about us, it's about our guests, who we are genuinely happy to have here and very glad. I'd like to introduce Marcie Gorman and Michael Lifshitz, the producers, founders, and chief bottle washers for MnM Productions. Welcome and thank you for joining us tonight, both of you.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
So,
terrific.
For the 7 people who don't know who you are, tell us about MnM Productions.
MnM is for Michael and Marcie.
No. Marcie and Michael, you're M1. I'm M2. Always
We go through this all the time.
we're going to get shirts, you know.
We are. And
I'm with them.
the reason we're yes, I'm with them. MnM, because M&Ms probably wouldn't be happy if we stole their cute little trademark. So in order not to still be M&M, we just put in an N for nothing except an and, the middle of the and therefore we are MnM.
Makes it memorable.
Yes.
So talk about the work that you do, where you do it, how would you define yourself as different from other companies that are having other niches?
People have asked me and Marcie on any occasion, what is your niche? My answer is, whatever makes money. That's really what it comes right down to. Obviously, those who know us, and hopefully those who will get to know us, have seen some really extraordinary musical theater. That doesn't mean we're married to it, but we're using that as a way to build audiences, to get people familiar with the company, with the level of work that we do, so that if we do try to do something a little outside of the box that people are expecting us to be in, that they come to see it because they respect us as a company and they know that they're going to get good product no matter whether it's musical comedy, bedroom farce, straight drama, a reading, anything that we choose to do down the road.
That's his story.
Okay.
I love musical comedy. I am a musical comedy queen. I love it. When I was younger, I did musical comedies. I'm an old, frustrated actress, singer, whatever, from way, way back. I'm a musical comedy queen. So when Michael says, do you want to do this or this? If it's got music, well, I'm doing that one. So, yes, didn't he have a very, very wonderful, elusive explanation about that, and mine's just shorter.
Well, why don't you list some of the shows that you've done so far in the past to give people a sense of what your wonderful musical comedy taste runs to?
Okay,
all over the place.
Yes.
I mean, seriously, all over the place.
And that's what I want you to, seriously, that's why I asked.
Our very first production, which was a little under the radar, was a chorus line. And
Right.
the reason for that, I had been approached by a theater to do a co-production with them. Marcie and I had been talking for a couple of years about working together, but we'd never been able to get the stars to align. And this time it happened. Said, hey, would you like to play with me on this? One of my dearest friends was one of Michael Bennett's proteges, was one of the 6 people that Michael put through the last workshop before he passed away. So she was authorized to do chorus line a la 1975. So we recreated the Schubert Theater inside the Crest Theater, and it was an amazing, amazing experience. We even opened up our auditions to the public so they could actually see.
So let's talk about the shows.
Okay.
Okay,
Chorus line,
that's one show.
Chorus line. Then for our second season, we opted to do a musical review, side by side by Sondheim. And then when we decided to expand to a 2-show season, we opened it with Hair, and we finished it up with The World Goes Around.
For which you won a Carbon album.
Yes,
Yes,
that
and-
was very
important.
exciting. Very exciting.
And both shows were recognized through the company with the Silver Palm Award. Thank you very much, which was
For new kids on the block.
Right.
equally,
You know.
equally as flattering and stunning to us as a new company. It was an incredible year.
It's great.
It was
It's
an
really
incredible year.
was.
Such a good segue to talk about
Yeah.
being a new company. I think that, applause to you to be in South Florida and starting a new company. Talk a little bit about that. I think that just is so interesting.
We took a risk. I mean,
did.
there are theater companies closing, but this community has been so supportive and so vibrant. For us, it's been a joy. I mean, it's been scary. We started out in one theater, stayed there for a show and a half, and then made a permanent move up to the Rinker Playhouse at the Kravis Center, which is going to be our home for the foreseeable future.
We love it there.
We did good work, and people have recognized that, both from the critics to the rest of the theatrical community to our audiences. So that, the fear factor of starting a new company, I think we were
And
too
it's
dumb.
expensive.
You think?
I'm going to say funding.
Yes.
Do you use
You have
professional
funding.
Do you
You
use
are the
professional
funders.
actors?
Yes.
You use
We always
professional
use
actors.
professional actors. Yes.
And the other thing I found most interesting was your business sense of putting yourself in the Kravis Center and being able to get in there sort of in the times when they're really, I don't want to say not using it, the Kravis Center is always used, but wasn't that a good in a way for you, that you could go there?
She gets total credit, and I'll allow her to share
Talk a
that.
little bit
Thank
about
you.
that, because I thought that was a really smart move, a business move.
Well, actually, I love the Kravis Center. I've been around the Kravis Center since it started. And as I said, I did have a former life. This is my third career. But in my second career, I loved doing theater and supporting theater. And I didn't get to be in theater then. I created my own theater. So I actually was the president, CEO, and owner of 2 franchises of Weight Watchers. So I did my own TV. That's how I managed to get through the corporate world. I did my TV, I did public speaking, I did my TV shows, I did radio shows. So I kept my foot in the world of color, light, and acting, always under the lights. And when I retired from that, sold the company, retired, I tried to figure out what do I want to do for the rest of my life, because it's not looking good for retiring. So this came along, and Michael and I started talking, and we finally met, and this kind of happened. And Kravis I'd been part of. I'm one of the founder members. I've been around Kravis. I've been on the education committee for years and years. I've just been around the Kravis Center, and I love the Kravis Center.
She sells herself short. She's been a major force for both education, what do they call it, the young stars of
Yeah.
the Kravis. Marcie has funded that program
The young
for
artists,
years.
the Broadway care, all the Broadway credits and the education things. I've always sponsored everything there. We used to have the Young Friends, and I was the supporter of their Dance for the Stars when that was really popular. So I've kind of been there. And education, that was my first career. So I'm an old teacher at hand. That's me, bottom line.
But you also have a business background.
I do.
Which I would assume makes a big difference. There are lots of people, not lots, but there are several companies that get started because they want to express their artistic impulse, but they can't balance their checkbook.
Right.
How has that
I've got
helped you
both.
guys?
Well, it has.
It has.
And also, Michael's got.
Well, I'm actually an accountant.
Right.
I mean,
So-
I'm the only accountant I know who drove around with tap shoes in his trunk. But going back to the story of the Kravis and the business sense it made, we had done Chorus Line at another theater, and we had opened side by side at the other theater. And before we opened and began the production, Marcie said to me, "Can we take it to the Kravis?" Well, I moved a show in a former life. It's not an easy proposition. Side by side, a little easier, not set heavy, not cast heavy, not musician heavy. So we did. We moved it up to the Kravis. I think it was our first Carbonell eligible show. So people were like, "Where do we come to see it?" And we got an incredible reception from the audiences. We had 10 performances in Delray and 5 performances at the Kravis, and we sold as many tickets for 5 performances at the Kravis as we did for 10 performances
So you're
at
getting
the
their
Crest.
crowd. I mean, you're getting the usual Kravis crowd. coming to you as well?
A mix. It's a really good mix. We're bringing people to the Kravis. The Kravis has expanded their mailing
And
list.
that's
Okay, there you are, double do,
Yeah.
So
sure.
there's the interesting thing about it, because, season, everybody's performing in season. Well, same thing at Kravis. Off season, nobody's doing much of anything because it's off season. We are the off season Broadway genre.
We're
So
running from
that's our niche.
May till December this year. Prior to this, it was
Right.
May through August.
Yeah.
Our season has now expanded to December, so we're doing 4 productions this season, and we've already got our dates for 4 productions for the 2018 season.
And I think we were kind of betting that people who are here all year round would like to come and see theater, because there's nothing else to do. The snowbirds are gone, and where's theater? Dan, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No. Okay. Once you've selected a project, can you sort of walk us through the steps you have to take in order to get it from page to stage as a producer?
Sure. Do you want to start with that?
Sure.
Or shall I?
Well, obviously, we go through the process of picking the season, which was relatively easy. We ask for input. We have a great team that we work with.
At Kravis.
From a creative standpoint, we've been working now with the same directors and choreographer and musical director, and for the
And that's
foreseeable future,
internal, yes.
that's going to stay. So we ask all of them for help. We had a season audition, which most of the local theaters do, and then they'll have auditions for the shows as they need to fill in. We had over 350 people in 2 days.
Which was a
audition
shock.
for our season.
It was just a shock.
We had 5-minute appointments for 11 hours a day for 2 days. We sat there like this. Amazing, amazing, amazing talent. Then, of course, we cast the shows and then we wait, because we actually hold our auditions before everybody else's season auditions. And sorry, guys, but that's how we grab the talent. But again,
Yeah,
most of them don't have shows in May.
Right.
July, August, and October.
And we do, so
there's
why not?
only one of our shows really conflicts with other people's seasons. We sit there and we start working on designs. We start working on everything.
So you're the
that needs to happen.
designer and the costume, everything?
We
hire.
hire designers. Our designers this year, if you've seen our other shows, you've seen these gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous backdrops that are done by
Yes.
Cindy Taylor.
Yes.
She actually is designing our first set and our third set this year, and I'm kind of fulfilling a little bit of a lifelong dream. Tim Bennett is designing 2 of our other sets, and I've known Tim since I was way younger, and he was way younger, and so he's doing 2 of the sets for our productions this year as well.
Is there a challenge when you're talking about sets and all? Let's talk a little bit about, you're in the Rinker Playhouse, which is a large black box,
Right.
about 300 seats or so?
300
Yes.
on the nose.
It's an interesting size. Talk a little bit about the challenges or the advantages of working in that space. It's not intimate, but it's not massive.
I think we've made it intimate.
If you've seen our shows, the 2 of you I know have seen our shows.
Yeah.
I've seen a good one, yes.
We have wonderful directors who know how to take that space and make it intimate. It's not so much big as it is high.
High, right.
It makes it feel very high. It's really not that far from front
Well,
of
that's
house
an
to back of
advantage,
house.
isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's not a true black box either. It's not a true black box. I mean,
I know.
there's only so many configurations. I think, you can play with the stage, you can leave it in, you can take it
Right.
out. You can do what we did with Side by Side, with The World Goes Round, which is we took out 105
Seats in the front. And turn them into
the
cabaret seating.
cabaret seating because the show called for it. So
And that made it intimate again, because people were sitting with their drink at a table looking at the stage. And then behind it were the rest of the seats.
And in truth, Pete, those are the seats that go first. My concern as a producer was I didn't want the cast or anybody to walk out, see 100 seats filled in front and 200 seats
Empty,
open
right.
up the risers. So by taking out those 100 seats and only leaving 28, even on light nights, which we didn't have that many, we still had half a house.
But you also have had the shows that I've seen, your cast often interacts directly
Right.
with the audience.
audience, right.
I remember in Hair, they came out into the audience.
Multiple times.
Multiple times.
Yes.
Came out, came through. I mean,
That's
And
right.
made a sense
They
of a
did.
connection. I assume
Yeah.
that was intentional.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And they did a little bit of that in The World Goes Round.
Right.
I'm not so sure with the shows this year how much of that's going to happen. But, we leave that up to the directors. I'm a lucky guy. I learned a lot of what I know by having the ability to work as an actor with Bob Bogdanoff and as an actor for Jan McCart. And they taught you how to treat people and how to respect the creative team. And that's one thing Marcie and I think I'm most proud of that is we are very respectful. These are incredibly talented people. They don't need much of our input. They just need our okay. I think that's the important thing about
And that's
MnM.
also the way I ran my businesses in the past. I've always been very person-oriented. My company has always been very personally oriented. I have always had an open door type of policy. Would just come in and talk to me, sit down, talk to me, And so we matched. We had no idea going into this whether we would even like each other. We didn't know each other that well.
We knew each other sideways.
What a gamble. Wow.
It really was.
We
It
knew
really was.
we knew each other sideways. Marcie and
Right.
I are half a generation apart. My mother was in that next half a generation. Marcie and my mother were actually friendly 40 years ago. Don't forget, we've both been in this town for a really long time.
So we were just talking about that on the way down here. We've both been here since the early 70s. So we actually have never hung out together.
No,
We have, but our circle of friends keep intertwining, and why we haven't run into each other before is amazing.
But we had met a couple of years before we started the company. Marcie
We did.
Marcie had asked me to produce something for her that she was working on, which we'll never discuss again.
Never. No. Suck the life right out of it.
It wasn't a play.
No.
It wasn't a musical.
No. Which is why I love musical comedy.
And
That pretty well.
And it never got off the ground because her accountant finally said, you have to stop.
This is true.
But we met.
I tried to fly it.
We met, we
Here's
talked.
something. Dan does not live in Palm Beach. He's never
Oh.
seen the show.
Okay.
How do you entice Dan and those who live in Lauderdale or maybe Miami to drive up to Palm Beach?
Well, I grew up in Hollywood, so you have to come drive up just to see me for nothing else.
That's a good reason.
Being a Hollywood girl, you have to support the old Hollywood group. So as we spread out, no, seriously, the way we would appeal to you is just say, come try us out.
Okay.
Come see it.
Come see some great theater. I
Yeah.
mean, it's hard because this is a huge theater district. Our 10 blocks is almost 80 miles or 90 miles long, and I'm speaking to people who have to do that sometimes 7 times in a weekend, and I always think of poor Michael Payton. But the truth of the matter is, we'd love to see people from the southern ends of the theater district, from the Broward and the Miami area. That's a personal thing. We're not playing to a Palm Beach audience. We hope we're playing to a larger global audience, and we do get people from all over. If you look at our demographics and our mailing list, there are people coming from all around.
For the playwrights out there, do you have any intentions of doing some plays at some point?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
Yes. We actually, if Karen were sitting there today, we've actually approached Karen about doing a reading of a play that I fell in love with. We actually produced a reading of it out in Los Angeles because that's where the playwright is based out there. I met him literally bobbing in a pool in West Hollywood. And I pitched him on a project, and he pitched me on a project, and he gave me this play to read so I could see his work. It's a
So you're
brilliant
accepting
creative.
scripts.
Always.
Which
Always.
reminds
We
me.
love
So,
scripts.
what's your website so people know how to get in touch with you, find
Facebook.
out about your
Facebook.
Come to Facebook.
There's an
Come to
MnM
Facebook.
Productions group. We have been
Working on.
It's the one thing that we have not really been successful at. Is a good website.
Website.
So
So check through Facebook.
if
Right.
if you join the MnM Productions Facebook group, I think we have over 610 members in just a couple of years. That's where we pretty much post everything that's going on, and in a lot of ways, I think a lot of people, especially the younger people, it's easier to reach them than through a website than to do it through social
We
media.
had talked in the green room about auditions, and I wonder if you could address a little bit. I've asked a lot of artistic directors about this, how deep the bench is in South Florida. There are certain theaters that will go out of town, out of state.
Out of state, yeah.
To find exactly what they're looking for, saying, well, I want it the best possible person I can. So
That's
how
right.
deep is the bench here?
So we consider that's one of our mission statements.
It's a mission
honestly.
of ours. Is to hire
It really
local.
is.
I was a local actor. You were a local actor. You are a local actor.
And
really,
our belief is there's great talent down here in South Florida. Look for it. Look for it. If 300 people can come and audition, out of those 300, honest to goodness, there's some great talent in there. South Florida has great talent.
We cast a chorus line with local talent. Nobody's
Right.
ever done that before. And we did about 95% of Michael Bennett's original choreography. Wow. You have to be willing to put in the. Now, we made sure that people had the time to get up to speed, but one of our shows this season, put it this way, people are going to see the dance in this show and go, we had no idea. We had no idea that there were choreographers capable of doing this, that there were
And
dancers
dancers.
capable of doing this. All local. I mean,
Everyone is local. That's what we do.
And when we say local, we're talking local Florida. I mean, I'm not going to kid anybody. We have people coming in from Orlando. We have people coming in from Tampa and from, the Fort Myers, Naples area. But, our mission, as Marcie said, is the local actor. Everything is local. Our creative team is all local. Our directors, our choreographers are all local. Our musical director. We're even using a local costume company.
No, it really
I do a
is.
level of an off-Broadway theater, but you're doing Broadway and Broadway quality. I will
Thank you.
say.
Thank you
Yes,
so
definitely.
much. That is such.
So
This is so
is it really
flattering.
kind of just a two-man band? I mean, do you have a board? Do you have other people that are helping to support you?
We are
How-
a for-profit.
Yeah,
the
we're
only
not a
for-profit
501c3. We're
Wow.
probably the only not 501c3
Yeah.
that's in this industry, but we're not.
I've never hidden this. If it weren't for the lady sitting next to me, this wouldn't be happening. It's that simple from a
And it's
financial
scary.
From a
It's
financial
scary.
standpoint, we've done well with a few of our shows. We've done brilliantly creatively. We have probably the most expensive Carbonell Award ever.
I'm going to use it as a bracelet. It's a little heavy, but I believe we spent the money and may have bought that.
And just to thank you all,
It shows.
the very first rehearsal we had for our current production, we were going to put the Carbonell in the middle of the director's table and say, no pressure.
It is really a good calling card. I mean, especially for a new company to be recognized.
As quickly
It
as
was
we
wonderful.
to get
It was wonderful.
to get a recommendation to me is extraordinary, because then you have 6 people who
Like us.
unilaterally, yes, they love theater, but they may not be as entrenched or immersed in theater as others, but they unilaterally agree that there's an element of the show that's Carbonell worthy. To me, that is absolutely phenomenal. To get a nomination in our first go-round was
And for those in
Amazing.
the audience who still don't know, the Carbonell Awards are our Tony Awards
Right.
here in South Florida.
Right.
And they recognize productions, direction, actors.
excellence.
It's just
Excellence.
wonderful.
Excellence.
Tony Awards.
Wonderful.
South
And,
Florida's.
yeah, so
What are the criteria you use in selecting a play?
We talk a lot.
we talk a lot. It's basically we tend to look at what hasn't been overdone. That's one of our criteria.
That's smart.
If you look at what we've done reviews that hadn't been done in a while. Hair had not been is almost never done around here. Chorus line people run away from. The current season, which is if I can say, is Spamalot company La Caja Fall, and today we're just we are about to announce our 4th show, which is Little Shop of Horrors, which nobody has known about yet. So you
But you're going
guys,
to get compared.
yeah.
You're
Yes.
going to get
Yeah.
compared to previous productions.
Yeah,
Of course.
Little Shop is
Of course.
probably the only one that's been done,
Done. Right, but
They all
recently.
have some good little shops.
Yeah.
But they all have a decent-sized, if not large, cast, like you did
Yeah.
with Hair. And yeah, some of the reviews are small, but your scope seems to be unusually large for.
we have an incredible team of particularly a choreographer who, so you can be sure that in every MnM season there's going to be one huge dance show.
Absolutely.
Just know there's going to be
There
one
is.
huge
Oh,
dance
good.
show. Yes.
Always. We have a wonderful choreographer. She also directs.
Yeah.
We have a director who is also wonderful, brilliant, and between them,
They
we
create
can do.
magic.
They
They
do,
create magic.
and we allow them to create magic. That's part of what you've got to do. We have to believe in the people that we hire to do things, because if you don't believe them and you follow them and oversee everything they do, you will get no product whatsoever. And that's old business learning. You hire the best and you leave them alone.
We've
You
got
don't
about,
have, this is not
Yeah.
leaving it alone like completely. We don't just walk away. I mean, we're out there, but we allow them to direct and choreograph. That's their job.
well, we're in the home stretch, so I want to ask, our normal question is, where do you see things going? Where, you in the back with your hand up. Yes, ma'am?
Well, we want to continue to produce really great theater and to start to look at different ways to produce theater as well. The Rinker Playhouse, for now and the foreseeable future, is going to be our home. We are going to be co-presenting shows with the Kravis Center, which is
Co-producing.
Yes.
co-presenting. We're calling it co-presenting. Yes.
Okay.
Little Shop is the first
the first
co-production with the Kravis Center.
Which we're just delighted
How
about.
does that does that bring their fan base in? or-
We have access to their fan base. Our lobby rack cards have been in their lobbies. We participated in their 25th anniversary
And their mailing
celebration.
list?
And their-
Yes.
Mailing
Oh,
list.
wow,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's encouraging and a good note to go out on.
Yes.
How was that for a segue? We want to thank MnM for coming in and talking to us about this a
thank you
great
for having
deal.
us. This
We're
was-
delighted.
I want to thank
you.
our panel, but mostly I want to thank you all for tuning in again tonight. We look forward to seeing you next week. And if you want to know anything further about what's playing in this area, go to floridatheateronstage.com. And we expect to see you back here in 7 days or later this week on Spotlight on the Arts. Thank you and good night.
What would we do without you? How would we ever get? How would we ever get? How would we ever get? How would we ever get through? What would we do without you?
Just what you usually do.
Okay, now everybody, year after year, older and older, side by side. Sharing a tear and lending a shoulder, side by side. One's impossible, two is gloomy. Give another number to me, side by side, 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 by